Hello everyone, this is SaberWolf94 and welcome to another Pokemon TCG online video. Decided to intro like Puka today. Shout out to him. Okay, so today we have a real favorite of mine, one of my favorite decks. You guys know that I like my Ray Eels and Magnezone types of decks, but this deck can easily give them a run for their money. Sometimes I even feel this is my favorite deck of the recent generations. This is Primal Kyogre EX, the beautiful, the fantastic, legendary Water Lord Kyogre. Alright, so obviously the main attacker of this deck is going to be Primal Kyogre, and it's centered around the stuff that he does basically. But before we look at him first, let's look at the basic Pokemon that we're going to need, and this is the base Kyogre EX. Now, there are two types of Kyogre EXs that we have. The one from Primal Clash, very beautiful, full art, and the other very beautiful full art from Dark Explorers that came out much earlier than Primal Clash. Okay, so I run a four line of Kyogre. Maybe you can do 3 if you like. You can do a 3-2. You can do a 4-3. Or, 4-4 I don't really recommend. Uh, we only run 2 Primal Kyogres, but I feel like, it's enough. And I do like my 4 regular Kyogre EXs, and you'll see why soon. But you can do 3 if you like. You can do 4 of these, 3 of these. It's up to you. Okay, so the reason why I do 4, and the reason why I run both, I recommend that you run both for a couple of reasons. Number one, the ones from Primal Clash, they're weak to grass. And the one from Dark Explorers is weak to lightning. Now, this isn't like always super relevant because most of the time you want to Primal Revert to Primal Kyogre, this is going to be your main attacker. But on the rare occasion that you are going to attack or have the regular Kyogre EXs around, it's nice to have that sort of, different weakness. It can help, it can make a difference a lot of the times. Okay, especially since most of the other attackers, most of the other water Pokemon are weak to grass too in this deck. So, let's look at the Primal Kyogre from Primal Clash first. So 180 HP, pretty standard. Weak to grass, like I've said. Retreat cost is 4, very bad. But, we have many ways around this in this deck. And we can also use Heavy Ball to search it, and that's good, as I always say. Its attacks, like I've said, you're not really going to use them since you're not really going to attack with them. But Water Pulse does come up sometimes. It can be helpful. It can save your ass, actually. Perhaps if you start with this guy, you have to open with him, and you play first, you attach a water energy, then next turn you attach another one. If you haven't gotten going yet, putting out Primal Kyogre and doing the stuff that you're supposed to, you can attack early. The auto sip is very useful. It's a decent little attack that can come up. John Whirlpool, probably not as much, but maybe sometimes, maybe you have to use it, maybe you have a bunch of energies to Primal Kyogres, and you have a spare Kyogre that has a lot of energies on him. So 140 for 4 is pretty solid. You return to water energy from this Pokemon to your hand. Would have been better if it did 150, but, still pretty solid. Like I said, you probably won't use this. If anything, you might use Water Pulse more, but this is the Pokemon. Like I've said, you're mainly using this is your basic Pokemon to evolve into your main attacker. So I run 2 of this guy, and we run 2 of the Dark Explorers Kyogre EX. So this Pokemon has 170 HP, 10 less, which kind of sucks, but what can you do? 4 retreat cost, so the same benefits and drawbacks that I've mentioned from the previous one, you know them, Heavy Ball and stuff, whatever. Lightning weakness, like I've said, and 2 attacks as well. Smash Turn, you will most likely never use this, does 30 for 2, but you switch, this is one of your bench Pokemon if you want. Maybe, I don't know, but probably not. You know, Water Pulse is much better on the Primal Clash Kyogre. But Dual Splash is arguably a better second attack, and one of the reasons why, an important reason why you play the Dark Explorer's Wand. I mean, for the most part, I'm playing because he's beautiful. I want to include him, but this is seriously a very good tech attack that's going to surprise a lot of people if you know what you're doing. This attack can win you games. Um, Dual Splash for 3 water energy. You know, it does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. A spread/snipe attack. Now, this deck does spread damage with Primal Kyogre, so a lot of the times, especially if they want to be like clever and switch around and do stuff, this attack, Dual Splash, gets them. While not as relevant as before, you know, EX Pokemon in Expanded are still relevant. This is a straight up Expanded deck, unfortunately, because these cards are rotated out. But, you know, for example, I mean, I know, you know, nobody would use Jirachi X anymore because Tabulele uh, basically does the same thing better with more HP. But let's say Shaymin EX, you know, if you hit that guy, you know, like 2 times with the spreading attack of Primal Kyogre, you know, you can use Dual Splash on him and basically kill him, grab 2 easy prizes. This is a good example, you know, so things like this can come up. Is a very good tech attack that can win you the game, trust me. I'm not promising it's going to happen all the time, but you guys know what I mean, you know, it's nice to have around. What I usually do is I like to Primal Evolve this guy and have at least one of these guys available on my bench with energy. You know, one of these 2 guys. This is the regular one from Dark Explorers. You know. Okay, so a 2/2 Kyogre line, pretty standard. So now we look at the main attacker that this deck is centered around to Primal Kyogre EX. So this Pokemon is all around great. I mean, I do love my Groudon, but this is more fun to use. This is more, I like Alpha Growth better. It, it's more like within my preferences. I'd rather have energy acceleration, an easy straight up to use Pokemon than, you know, with Groudon you have to slowly set him up, and you know, its ancient trained is very good by no means. I mean, it's pretty fantastic, but this is, I feel like, easier to use, more consistent, you know, alpha growth. When you attach an energy, you know, you get to attach 1 more energy. So basically, every time you attach a water energy, if you have another one in your hand, you can attach 2 water energies per turn. So what this thing does is gives you some sort of energy acceleration. So you do this 2 times, you know, you instantly have 4 energy, and you can use Tidal Storm. So Tidal Storm, 150 for 4. This is pretty good, but it does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon EX. Even if they have 6, you can hit all 6 of them. Well, 5 of them actually, but so this is a very powerful spreading attack. If they have a bunch of EX Pokemon, this can add up very quickly, can be very pressuring, very aggressive against your opponent. Softens them up, you know, very powerful. Now, even though this is expanded, EX Pokemon might be more relevant over there, but at the same time, you know, GX Pokemon are more prevalent these days. So this doesn't have the same, you know, usefulness as it used to have. But I mean, still, 4 energy for 150 is very good. And the worst case scenario, you know, you're 2-shot killing Pokemon with this card. And it's very good because it has 240 HP. This is pretty fantastic. Even by today's standard, where all the big GX heavy attackers these days, you know, 240 HP, especially when you consider this came in Primal Clash, is pretty fantastic. It usually is going to survive, and especially with the healing strategies that we're going to use in this deck, you know, it's going to be a big pain to your opponent. Now, Tidal Storm also forces you to move 2 water energy or 2 energy attached to this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon when you attack. Now, if you don't have any bench Pokemon, you're not going to move anything. He keeps them on him. but usually you should have somebody on the bench, and you're forced to move them to somebody. Now, sometimes you don't want to do that. It's annoying, but for the most part, this is a very good effect to have for a lot of reasons. Reason number one, you conserve energy. Uh, in case some shit goes down and you do die, you manage to save 2 energy if you have 4 on them and you attack last turn. And this is pretty good. And the other reason is there's so many attackers that have the, you know, Mewtwo EX from Next Destiny's attack model that, does more damage times the amount of energies the Pokemon has. Evil Ball, X Ball from Mewtwo. Um, uh, Lugia has that same attack from Ancient Origins. I mean, fuck, even Tapu Lele. So many other attackers that have attacks that, do more damage if you have more energies on. So this helps with that too. It softens their attack a little bit at least. And this is pretty good. And if you know what you're doing, the ideal scenario with this guy is you want to have your 2 Primal Kyogres out, and you attack with the first one, you move the energy to the other one, and then you bring the other one active. You attack and you put the energy to this guy again. So this way you always have energies. You're moving them around, regulating them properly. So it's not like it can get stuck somewhere, or you can have your active attacker stuck with no energy to put on once you're forced to move them. Okay? You'll see pretty soon. But yeah, for retreat cost, we can search this with Heavy Ball once again. The Grass Weakness, standard stuff. But this is a very good Pokemon. Our main attacker, basically everything that happens in this deck is centered around this guy. Uh, with Alpha Growth, you grab, it's essentially energy acceleration for everybody, because since you're attaching 1 extra energy per turn, and then you're moving them around with a Tidal Storm, you can power up the other attackers quickly, and sometimes it can even be more efficient than Magnezone and Ray Eels and stuff. Okay, so for other partners in this deck, we have first and foremost Keldeo EX. This has always been an all-around very good Pokemon, not just a very good water Pokemon, but a very good tech Pokemon in general. With Rush In, if you have a Float Stone and they don't block your abilities, you basically have free retreat around the board. But since he also has Secret Sword, you can move the energies to him with Primal Kyogre once you attack with Tidal Storm, and if you do this a bunch of times, he can build up the energy, and you can actually attack with him. This becomes a very good secondary attacker. Sometimes maybe you don't want to be fixed to the 150 damage and rely on spread and stuff. This is a straight up, attack to the active, do shitloads of damage if you have the energy on. Straight up attacker. And this is very good. Okay? You're mostly using him for rushing, but he can also be an attacker. Okay, so next we have Palkia EX. Now you don't really have to run him, I feel, but he can be sort of too good sometimes not to run with Aqua Turbo. If you open early with this guy and you play first, you'll get to use Aqua Turbo early, and the water energy acceleration is very good, to be honest. You get to grab 2, attach them to one of your Kyogres. You know, it's kind of tough to beat. And later on, Pearl Hurricane is a pretty solid attack too. Does 120 for 4 and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, but it's 30 to anybody. So this can come up, this can be useful, this can set up some kills and stuff, maybe used on a GX Pokemon or what have you. Which is why is another, straight up good water attacker to use. Okay. And for the last big guy, we have Lapras GX. This is a fantastic Pokemon. 190 HP and 3 very useful attacks. Uh, for early, collect, draw 3 cards, very good. Blizzard Burn, very good, straight up attack for 3 energy, 160. heavy damage, easy to use. It doesn't matter if we can attack next turn, we have many ways around that. And Ice Beam GX, uh, this Pokemon also lets us utilize the GX concept, why not have that advantage? Since we can use one GX attack, we should be able to use it. Ice Beam GX, that instant paralysis is very helpful. It can save your ass when you're the game, and also does 100 damage. So pretty good. Another fantastic water Pokemon. I used to have the Lapras that grab you an item card with one energy that came out in, I think it was Agent Origins or Roaring Skies. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But, you know, there are plenty of water techs you can use, to be honest, in this deck. I'll talk about them later a bit. And for the last EX card, we do have the Manaphy Duo, the EX one and the regular one. So Manaphy EX, small guy, you normally wouldn't want to have him around. But unlike, Jirachi, he has a continuous, usability with his Aqua Tube ability. It's basically Darkrai X's Dark Cloak. If any of your Pokemon has water energy, it has no retreat cost. So this is very useful, is another one of our free retreat enablers like Keldeo EX. Our Pokemon are usually going to have water energy on them. So, Kyogre can easily retreat. Lapras can easily retreat. Everybody can easily retreat, pretty much. Like, even fucking Mime, even though he's not going to have energy. Which, by the way, I also run him, as I usually do, bench protection. But this is very good. Mineral Pump, you more than likely will not use it. But, maybe it can come up. Heal 30 damage from each of your bench Pokemon. Healing does play a big role in this deck, and you'll see pretty soon why. So, all around very good Pokemon. I do play the regular Manaphy. This can be a different tech, but for now I'm still using this. Um, it's basically, you put this active, and if it dies by an attack, you can add any card you want from your deck with Final Wish. And Seafaring, it's basically energy acceleration from the discard pile. What you do is, you flip 3 coins. For each heads, you attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So sometimes this might come up. Has beautiful art too. I love the sea and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's basically a tech Pokemon. That's about it. If you have to use them, if you have to stall and stuff, it kind of makes it a pain for your opponent. They know, okay, if I kill this thing, I'm gonna let them grab whatever the hell they want. And for our last water attacker slash tech, have a regular Suicune from Breakpoint. This is a pretty fantastic Pokemon, 120 HP, legendary basic, pretty cool. Aurora Beam does 110 for 3 water energies. This is basically like Keldeo's Secret Sword attack. Straight up, very good attack. And Wind Charm is very good. If this guy is active, you prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks, except damage done to each of your Pokemon. So they can't use any fancy shit if this guy is active. Only damage. So very good. Now, probably you might want to run more of this guy, maybe 2, or just run more basic Pokemon water attackers, maybe. The reason why I say this is because I used to run the Plasma Blast Suicune and the Regice Suicune, but because EX Pokemon aren't this relevant anymore, I decided, there's not much point in running those guys. They're going to be much, much less useful per factor every time. Uh, this guy is a straight up very good Pokemon, does 110 damage. The ability is always useful if it's active. It's not just EX hate. And 110 damage is exactly enough to kill Alolan Ninetales, which is the reason why I say you might want more basic attackers, because unfortunately that Pokemon blocks EX and GX Pokemon. It's a safeguard Pokemon, and before, we had like 2 to 3 attackers that we could use against safeguard Pokemon like opposing Suicunes or Sigilifs from Dragon's Exalted. But, against the Alolan Ninetales, we only have this guy. you know, he's still a tech. He can still maybe get you the job. We do run Super Rod and Rescue Stretcher to recycle him. But, if he's priced, yeah, it's up to you. You can decide what you want to do. Like I've said, there's plenty of water techs. There's a lot of support water Pokemon you can use. The Lapras, as I've mentioned. You can use the Articuno to grab energy. You can use maybe the Manaphy that shovels your hand and lets you draw 6 from Primal Clash. There's plenty of things you can do. Right. Um, but yeah, I mean, Primal Kyogre is an evolution Pokemon, so it does hit Pyroar. The safeguard Pokemon we have Suicune. Yes, Alola Ninetales is more of a pain, but still. So yeah, these are pretty much the Pokemon. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the strategy before we get to the consistency of this deck. So what you want to do with Primal Kyogre, since he's so big and so tough, you want to be able to have this guy out, have another Primal Kyogre out, hopefully, and move the energy around to this guy, switch the guys around when they get hurt with Keldeo X, and then heal up nicely with Rough Seas. This goes perfectly with Primal Kyogre EX. Uh, if they manage to stay on the bench for even like 2 turns, you've essentially healed 60 damage, and it can be very troublesome for your opponent, since they're going to have a tough time one-shot killing this guy. If they can't do this and you manage to put them back on the bench, you start healing damage with Rough Seas, it can be pretty annoying for your opponent, you know. Heal everyone, basically. This is also the reason why I run Gold Potion. I feel this deck is consistent enough that it doesn't need a computer search, you know. Um, Obviously, as you can see, there's only like 13 Pokemon here because we have a lot of our basic Pokemon EXs. So, we have enough basic Pokemon not to, mulligan all the time. I usually aim for 10 or 11. Anything more is good if you can have the space. But, there's a lot of space in this deck for a lot of consistency, so I don't feel the need this computer search. With Gold Potion, we can heal 90 damage from a Primal Kyogre. You know, Annoy our opponent. It's going to be a big pain for them to get over him, hopefully. Unless they can hit for weakness with Grass, but yeah. And yeah, I don't feel there's need for a computer search, but you can obviously run it. Definitely no reason to put Master Ball too, since, Dive Ball and Heavy Ball pretty much act like Master Ball in this sense. You can use Dowsing Machine too if you like, but like I've said, Gold Potion is the choice for me. Healing plays a part in this deck. We do want to heal up. Um, I did have 3 Rough Seas, but I decided to add a Brooklyn Heal instead. This is a good consistency stadium. Grabs a basic water Pokemon. So, why not? Early can be good. If they block items too, we can use this to search. So, pretty useful. And yeah, for consistency, we do have 4 Dive Balls. Clearly, this can search pretty much anything, besides Mime. Heavy Ball is going to search our Primal Kyogres. And if you do run Regice from Ancient Origins, you can search that too. Okay. Professor's Letter, I do run 2 in this deck, of course, and a 14 water energy count. You don't want to miss a beat with this deck. You want to always have energies in your hand, always at least 2. Put them into your Primal Kyogre. It acts as energy acceleration because, you're putting on the field 1 more energy per turn, and once you start moving them around to your other guys, it acts as energy acceleration. I've said that a million times, I think. So yeah, 2 of these, a big water energy count. You can, if you want, remove, maybe run 13 or even 12 or however many you wish. You don't have to run this many, but it works for me to run this many, so that's why I'm running them. And put, more tech attackers or more trainer cards and stuff, it's up to you. But it works for me, that's why I'm running them. And, Rescue Stretcher and Super Rod, this is recovery from the discard pile. Super Rod, it can recover energies, our Primal Kyogres, and any Pokemon in general. And Rescue Stretcher grabs something and puts it in the hand if you want to. You can also, shuffle 3 Pokemon, but it's mostly used for the recovery effect. Trainer's Mail, consistency card, As for other recovery from the recovery to the hand, VS Seeker, I run my 2 golden VS Seekers, grab any supporter, pretty good. You know, for, our switch support, you got the 1 float stone. I used to run 2 in this deck, I'm pretty sure if I remember right. But because we have Manaphy 2 now, it's not really that necessary, you have Manaphy 2, Fury 2, so, we have our 1 switch too, so, I always run 1 switch, so 1 less float stone when we have Manaphy is good enough. Okay, for supporters, I think it's pretty standard. I run my 3 Junipers. You can do 4, but 3 is enough for me. 3 ends. The fantastic always run Chorus. 1 Skyla. I feel like it's enough. Maybe you can run 2 if you like. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea because there's so many useful item cards in this deck that let you search, like Dive Ball. You got your Professor's Letter. You got your Kyogre Spiritling, of course, which is important so that you don't lose your turn when you Primal Revert. But I'm doing 1 for now. And we have Charon. I normally wouldn't run this in 99% of decks, but this deck I feel like it's consistent enough, and it's a type of deck that I don't want to shuffle my hand or ditch my hand. I want to keep my hand and just straight up draw. This is straight up draw 3 cards, and this is good for me. You're probably going to have a bunch of water energy in hand, and this is good because you don't want to miss a beat. And, Charon is a straight up draw 3. Lysander, obviously, pull up something pretty good. You guys know, wins you the game. And I feel like this is it. Field Blower, 1 Field Blower and 1 Startling Megaphone. I still like to run my Startling Megaphone because of they have a bunch of tools. They get arrogant, or I don't know, play like the tool Trubbish deck. If even somebody would even play that still, you can remove as many of them. And this, it used to be a tool scrapper so that I can get rid of tools that my opponent attaches me, the Team Flare gears. But Field Blower does the same thing and better. You can discard stadiums too. Not really going to be, we run 3 stadiums, so we do aim to get rid of our opponent's stadiums with our stadiums. But since it's better than Tool Scrapper, of course we're going to run this. And this is pretty much the deck, guys. It's pretty straightforward. You get Kyogre out. You want to grab your Spirit Link, put it on, evolve, put a bunch of energy on Primal Kyogre and straight up attack. You're going to put the energy on your bench Pokemon. You should have a lot of energies around if you do things right. Switch around with Keldeo so that your opponent, can't really kill you and get prizes. Heal the Pokemon up, and, a rinse and repeat, basically. You will literally rinse your opponent if you do things right with this deck. It can be very powerful, very easy to use. I'm always surprised not a lot of people use this. I've had a lot of success with the deck, won plenty of tournaments with it. I think I have over like 100 wins with this deck or something like that. It's just pretty good all around. Perhaps you can make some changes, like I've said. Maybe you want to put Tapu Lele if you have this for more consistency. I might even do that because this is kind of This isn't like a super, I guess, I haven't really considered a lot of the new cards for replacements, I think. So maybe we would make some changes. I don't think so, to be honest, but yeah. You can run Tapu Lele if you like. Maybe if you really want to, you can run Talon Flame, because sometimes you do need a little bit of setup. You're not going to straight up attack early with this deck. Hopefully you do manage to attack by the third turn, but you know, it's still an all-around very good deck. There's a lot of different ways to run it. Like I've said, there's a lot of water techs you can use. Um, I feel like this is one of the better ways to run it. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys subscribe, like this video. It helps. Perhaps share it with your friends, especially if they love water decks and Kyogre and stuff like that. This is definitely a treat. I'm really confident, really comfortable that this deck is great. I have a good build going on with me. Um, uh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna post some games too. Hope you guys are gonna enjoy them. What's up?